What's up, guys? This is Wences. Welcome back to my channel. I know I've been MIA for a while, but a lot has been going on. I was in Berlin for a while, went to the opera. I'm looking into apartments for Madrid because yeah, how everything looks, I'm probably gonna move at least half time for like a year to Madrid in the end of August. And I'm looking at really nice apartments. So yeah, that was one of the things I had on my vision board. Actually, I didn't really realize that, but how everything turned out, we're probably gonna be moving. And yeah, so that's gonna be a little warmer, and it's gonna be a much nicer apartment than this one. I love my apartment, and I have so much like space and windows and stuff like that. But that a new thing coming up is yeah, another dream that will come true. And like all of those things keep happening. I have the retreat coming up next month. It's exactly 4 weeks from now. That's also going to be in Spain, but not in Madrid. It's going to be north of Malaga. And it's like this beautiful yoga retreat. I think it was like one of the best yoga retreats in Europe. I don't know, like from some magazines said that. You gotta check it out. I'm not even exactly sure, but I fell in love with it. And yeah, I can't wait for that. There are only like 3 spots left. Three, not like, you can also get like a suite and stuff like that. Then you have like 1 or 2 more options. But other than that, there are 3 twin rooms available that can still be booked. So if you're interested, go check that out. But so my whole point with this thing is that all of those things have been happening this year because I overcame a lot of limiting beliefs, and just a bunch of stuff like changed. If you see what kind of material I've been doing, I've been so much more relaxed, and things just keep happening because I realize more and more how everything is based on the way I think about it, how much more I am in control of all of those things. Like, I knew it on a theoretical level, but now I really get to change a lot of things, and it makes a huge difference. And so that's why I want to share with you this thing more specifically. I've seen like a huge change in my clients. So just like me changing, I already have like directly a different effect on everybody I talk to, because I'm a different person, so to say. I approach reality differently. So when you change things about yourself, you can also help people around you the most, right? So just from that perspective. And one thing that's been coming up over and over again is this thing of feeling bad about what other people think of you, of me, or whatever, of us in general. So like I was with friends the other night, and one of my friends was all about, oh, she's feeling like people are leaving her out in certain situations and stuff like that. And we started like discussing this, and I've seen it like also with my clients. Then it was like, okay, people are not including me, or people are thinking of me in a specific way, or whatever it is. And I've had stuff like this as well. And the more I was able to actually see it for what it is, you don't just overcome this one situation, because it's a pattern you keep repeating in your mind. And what I do best is to actually get to a point where I can make it explainable, so you can like really transform it to your life, see that it's a pattern that you've created over and over again. You can remove that pattern, and then from that moment on, it's like more natural. Like what I do, I don't even imprint new beliefs necessarily in my mind. I just remove all of those patterns that are coming up. And I'm not naive. I know that there's still a bunch of stuff going on, and like I'll work on them, because I just love doing that. And the more you learn that, the more you see how much more there is. But every time I get to remove one of those things, like things just like they show up, and they don't show up in a way of, oh, law of attraction, you just sit there and things show up. It's just like a natural like, oh, you're just drawn to stuff. Like the other day, I was just drawn to creating my mom's kitchen. Like she was talking about she wanted a new kitchen for a while now, but I was just like, oh, I want to do this. And I sat down and I designed everything, and like that's what I wanted to do in that moment. And that's how it is with all of those other things. The more you get to like remove those limiting beliefs, you're just naturally going to be drawn to certain things, and those certain things will draw you to people who appreciate you on a different level. Situations happen that open new possibilities. So that's what I'm saying. Like my life, like really like changed a lot this year. Like everything that happened last year, amazing. This year, it's like another level. And so I know how much this like really makes a difference. So the whole thing with what people think about you, right? So this will keep us in a certain box, those kind of feelings. And it's not just about that one person, it's about something that happened way back when we take on with ourselves and we keep on repeating it. Because the truth is, you never know what people are thinking, and you will never experience what people are thinking. So let's say you're somebody who feels like you're being left out. What happens? You're automatically seeking that out, because that's what we do. The things that we believe in, we like project onto other people that can play that part, and we are more aware of it. So I'm not saying I'm not being left out ever. It's just like I don't care about that. I had other issues. So every time somebody left me out, I didn't have it as a judgment. It just went by me, and I either was more attracted to people who didn't, leave me out, or I wasn't even aware of it that they did that, because I was focused on my own things. Or this other thing, like I never had like an issue of cheating. Never. Like I've seen it like in media, oh, it's like, cheating, but I've never experienced that. And I'm not even saying, for example, that my ex-boyfriend back in the day didn't cheat on me. I just don't, it was just not on my mind. I don't care. Like it was never an issue, because I have no attachment to that. I never had that in my family. I never saw people around me who had like issues with this kind of thing. It just didn't happen. But I had personally things with lying, because I lied a lot. That's the way I manipulated when I was a kid. That was my way of finding, getting out of situations, being ashamed of who you are, and therefore, just making promises you can't keep, and so on. Those are my patterns, right? So what I'm saying is, you never know what people are thinking in general. It's not even even if that person really leaves you out, if that person really neglects you, if that really is happening, but you're focused on that person. You meet around 100 people a day, you're focused on those people. You could be doing this with somebody else, so you can get upset about your boss and not care about what's going on with your best friend. And the other person really, I said, the one person is focused on that the boss wants you to stay at work, and you don't care about what's going on with your friend, because you don't take that personally. The other person doesn't really care about the boss at all, because it's okay, it's a job, so he wants me to do this, but that's what he wants, doesn't mean that I have to do this. And at home, when you're with your friends, it might trigger something in you. So that's the first thing to understand, that you are never, ever aware of what people are thinking, because it's always only going on in your head. That's and you decide who you focus on. You decide that. You know, that's what I'm saying. If somebody, and the thing is this, once you stop caring what others think, it doesn't mean that you stop taking constructive criticism. You just don't take it as a personal attack on you, and you can do it much better. So for example, let's say my boss says you should be working more, you're not working enough, whatever it is. So if you're not emotionally attached to that, you might think of it okay, is it beneficial? What am I being paid for? What is a normal amount I should be working that I feel comfortable with? Is my biggest goal to make this happen? And in order to make this happen, I would want to work more. Those are thoughts that you get from a constructive criticism point. It's like me learning tennis for the first time, and then somebody says, hold your racket higher. That kind of thing. I'm not emotionally attached to that. I take in the information as just, objectively, that person says that person thinks that. What does that mean towards me? But most of the time, when things like this come up, we get an emotional reaction towards it. So, he thinks I'm lazy, or he thinks I'm not good at my job, or I should be doing more, I'm not doing enough. All of those emotional triggers that come up, we created that feeling. We created that feeling because we interpreted what just happened in this emotional way. That's just a fact. There is no way to look at it from a different perspective and to say, oh, Wences, you're just doing this from this esoteric point of view. That's just facts. There is no, as I said, there's no unobjectivity to that. Everything that you create, everything that you experience within your consciousness. You experience it. You decide how you do this, how you feel about it, and like how you interpret it, and that you're focused on what that person says and you're neglecting what's going on over here and the other person is doing something else. So I'm not saying you're doing this in a conscious way, that you go to work and somebody says that and you say, oh, now I decide to be upset about this. These are unconscious programs that are going on, and we know that 95% of our, it might be 98, it might be 92, I don't know, but most of everything that we experience during the day is happening from our subconscious. Same thing with, communication. I don't know, like over 90% is nonverbal. It does not really matter what you say. It's the way you approach things. People can tell if you are nervous or not, how you feel about certain situations. These things, like, that's for real. So, and now the question becomes, so how do you get out of it? So let's say you're in this situation and your boss, you're in this situation and you think your boss is the reason why you need to work more. Your coworkers are putting in so much work, so you feel like I have to do this too, because otherwise I would be less than, I wouldn't be able to perform so well, or whatever it is. So the first thing is to realize you don't feel like this because of the current situation. It's not your boss who's causing this, it's not your friends who are causing this, and it's not even that's the next step. It's not even to say, well, that's just going on in me. They can think whatever they want, but that doesn't end the lingering, because you're still gonna be thinking, oh, I feel so sad because that person doesn't care about me, or I don't feel good because that person thinks I'm not, strong enough, smart enough, whatever it is, or you just feel like, I'm just not smart enough. That's just what you feel, and you say, okay, I got triggered through that situation, but that doesn't change the thing that I feel about this. It doesn't stop there. The next step is to realize that this thing happened a long time ago. At some point where you didn't have the capacity to really interpret it in a correct way. Because what is the correct way? The correct way is if that person thinks you're lazy, if that person thinks you should be a blonde, if that person thinks you should be more, dress more youthful, that has so okay. Just because they're thinking that does not mean that you have to think about what they're thinking ever. Who said that? Because you're not doing it anyways. You're not thinking about every single thought of every single person that is around you. You're thinking about that when you get a representation, when you get a mirror back to what you feel about yourself. And in a lot of ways, it's been something negative, right? In the end, of course, it should be that also the positive things don't affect us like this. That we have that as oh, okay, that's just a reaffirmation of what I think about myself as well, and so on and so forth. But in general, that all of those things, no matter what you experience, it's only going on in your head. So, and it happened back in the day, probably when you were a kid, because at that time we can't make those rational decisions. So something happened that made you feel that the way you are is not enough, that you should be doing more. Because when somebody, when you get this feeling of, I should be working more, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or whatever it is, if it was only a constructive criticism, for you would just think of it and say, okay, in order to succeed at this job, I would have to work more. Do I want to work more? And then you can say, well, no, this is my normal state. This is not worth it for me. I'm going to do something else. Or you say, oh, I really love this job. Oh, this is so fun. I can't wait to experience this and this. And yes, I wanna really push myself. I wanna put in those I don't know how many hours, because this is what I want. That kind of thing. But you make those decisions not out of this emotional reaction of I'm not good enough. Those I'm not good enough emotions, they run much deeper than this. Remember the thing with the racket. So if somebody just says, oh, you want to be better? Hold the racket higher. No emotional reaction. If you have an emotional reaction, it goes deeper than this. And those are things that are really about us as a person. So for example, you are thinking at some point it was imprinted into you that you are the way you are is not smart enough. The way you are is not like working enough. Like whatever it is, like that your normal mode just isn't enough. And that's the whole thing, to like really like abstract this feeling of this is happening because she doesn't care about me, it's not her problem but mine, but to realize I'm feeling this because of something that happened a long time ago. That's the kind of feeling. And then to go to the next step and be like, that's what I'm saying, like for me that works the best is to actually sit with that feeling, like with that gut pain or like that chest pain or whatever it is that's going on, and to realize that this is because of something that happened back in the day. It was not right. This shouldn't have happened, but it did happen, and now my adult self is gonna protect my child self or by my inner child or whatever it is, and say like, I'm not gonna put those situations onto you, so I'm not gonna either I'm just not gonna make you feel like this. But what doesn't really work is for you to say, okay, I'm just gonna remove myself from all kind of situations that might evoke those kind of emotions in me, because that way, that way you just keep your world very, very small. You keep it very small, and you feel contracted. You don't feel like you're opening up. You don't feel like the world is your oyster. And all of this is happening once you're able to sit with that pain, realize that it's something that happened back in the day and that was wrong and that it's painful. And then you just grieve it. You just sit with the pain. Like I remember, like the book, A Warrior's Journey or Love Warrior, I don't remember like her name, but like, she's like one of those, there's like this author, like Love Warriors, for example, by her. And like, she also says like, she's studied this a lot, and it's, if you can sit with this pain for 2 seconds today and you can sit with it for 5 seconds tomorrow, then this is the path of the warrior. And that's like so true, because the longer you sit with this pain, the more you can like really work through it, understand that it's actually in your body. Like you're carrying this is like, a density in your body. Like every time something happens, you will see it will hurt at the exact same spot. It will hurt here, or it will hurt here or here. And we're like contracting our tissue, our emotion, like our body in this way. And we've been doing this for decades probably. So we gotta let this go. Like that's a physical thing we're carrying with us on top of everything. So how do you do this? You actually sit with this, realize that it has nothing to do with what's happening now. And the more you sit with it and you don't run away from it, you don't try to rationalize it why you shouldn't feel this way, but you actually feel it and you take it as a positive thing. Awesome, I get to feel this. Like I know it's painful, but because I feel this, I can then let it go. And when you let it go, it's like you have like those like glasses, and they're like things on top of it that make you see less and less. And with every time you do that, it's like one more thing is gone. And you see like so many more possibilities, because then you're not attached to, oh, I need to stay in the situation because I'm still working through the thing that I actually feel I'm not, let's say that you feel you're lazy. If you feel the way you are is lazy, you're gonna have more and more people in your life. You're gonna put yourself in situations which gonna reflect that back to you. Always, because we always create our mind from our subconscious. So if we feel we're lazy subconsciously, we're gonna go out and we're gonna surround ourselves with people who also feel we're lazy. Like that's what I'm saying. Like when I quit my job, over a year ago, it's not that I think, oh, people are now thinking, oh, man, this is so cool. She just did her own thing and now she's successful and does all of this. No, I still think most people will, first of all, most people don't think about me at all. But the people, if they would think about, I'm sure there are a lot of people who think about, she just wasn't cut out for it. She just wasn't good enough to stand the pressure. Probably. But that has nothing to do with me. I'm not saying that people will stop thinking these things. It's just that you decide what things affect you. Because I'm sure there are people out there who look at me and say, oh, she should be should be dressing more conservatively. I have other people telling me you should be dressing more youthful. I have people saying, oh, you're being too lazy. I have people saying, oh, you're Like everybody gets to like decide what they think about you in their own right, because it's only like it's in their head. Like, who am I to decide what you think? And so like when you feel like, oh, that person makes me feel like this, no, they don't. You decide to be focusing on that person and not on the other person who thinks something completely different about you. That might be even positive, or the best thing is, of course, not to realize that you're never aware of what those people are thinking. That you're always the one creating those emotions, and it never has anything to do with the situation at hand. Because you can, if you're not carrying this with you, if this is not like engraved and imprinted into you, you just take it as an objective like realization. Okay, that person thinks I'm stupid. So what? That person thinks I'm lazy. Okay. So why would that affect me? It only affects me if I believe that partly about myself. And it's not a process that happens like from 1 second to the other, but you can make a huge difference once you start going that process. So that's the main reason why you shouldn't care what others think of you, because you're not aware of that anyways. It's all going on in your head in the first place. So you get to decide what you feel and how you do that. And a great way, because it's going on subconsciously, to do that is every time it comes up, every time you have a situation like this, to like abstract it from the situation, realize this you're feeling this because of something that happened back in the day, that happened to your inner child, and then you get to like heal it. And you sit with that until it just like dissolves. And then when things like this happen again and somebody says that, and it just goes like in, you take the objective information and it gets out. It doesn't get stuck. And because those things can happen much more easier and fluently, you see, okay, this is not the area that would bring me the most success, or those are not the people who would help me to bring out my gifts more. Okay, where else? And otherwise, you would have stayed there because you feel like, oh, that's home subconsciously, because they see me the way I see myself, which is lazy, for example. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions on this topic. It's a very, very interesting process. I do this daily now. Like, I'm really, really surprised how often I catch myself where I realize that this is going on and I get to remove that. Like, sometimes I have it like 4 or 5 times a day, and I'm convinced 100% that this has been going on forever. I just wasn't aware of it because I bypassed that this was actually going on. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Check out everything on my website, wences.com, if you're interested in coaching, the retreat, like Epic Life Masterclass. Go check that out. I wish you a great week, guys, and I'll be back soon.